Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the PiP Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Khaled, and I'm joined by Will here.
Hello.
So we'll do things a little different, but the same, I do believe. Just go throughout the news or what we've want to share with you. We found interesting throughout the week. But what we're also planning to do is around probably 11, touch on just our feelings about Lovecraft country.
Yes. Is there any topics that you would like to lead with?
No, you can start.
All right, so this isn't really a gaming topic, more or less, but I would like to share my findings of manga with everyone, because this is something I didn't know. So I recently purchased, well, not so recently, back in June, I purchased manga just straight from Japan, like actual Japanese manga. And I didn't realize that they came with a different cover. Like, they have different cover art in general, but then they also come with like a cover sleeve that's laminated. And the cover sleeve that's laminated has the art that all of like the English versions of the manga have on it. So that was very interesting to me because I didn't notice it until I accidentally dropped it out of the sleeve.
Oh, it just slid off.
Yeah, I was like, what? I was like, did I break it?
That's so fun.
But other than that, they also smell very nice. It's probably just the ink, the type of ink they use, versus like the manga you would buy on Amazon or from Barnes & Noble. Different manufacturers will use different inks, which give books, unique smells. That's basically all I had to say.
Now, touching on that, what made you buy this book, this manga?
Well, the reason why I bought it is because I always thought it would be cool to know a second language. And it's one of those things where, like, obviously, you choose a second language. It was like, I would like to know, like, Russian or French, but I don't necessarily want to visit Russia. And France seems like a cool place, but most of it sort of seems focused around like the food there.
And the fashion.
And the fashion, and I'm not too big into either of those. But I also like Japanese culture. So having a second language and being able to like read and be able to practice with like a book would be good, because if I ever wanted to visit Japan, I would know at least some of the language. It would be different if I had someone that like knew it, that you could like converse to. So talking wouldn't probably be the strong suit, but being able to actually know the characters of it, you'd be able to make your way around without like a translator. Because I would like to visit like Tokyo or Kyoto, just like tourist spots.
Yeah. But no, you do have a love for bread, and France does have some delicious backups.
They do. I do have a love for bread. Bread is amazing.
It is.
I just have a very particular palate when it comes to food.
You call that picky?
Yes.
That's fine.
Speaking about Japan, I know that you've been there.
Yes.
Out of curiosity, how long was your stay there?
About 2 weeks. Maybe 2 weeks and some change. Visit my brother, and It's funny because I was talking about this earlier today that when I was younger, I just decided to start learning Japanese on my own. Like, just bought as many books and had a Japanese to English and an English to Japanese dictionary. And I would just kind of like longingly sigh because I was spending the summer with my uncle in Raleigh, and so I'd kind of just look out the window or just be just chilling in the wilderness and just think to myself, I wonder how Japan is, and I wonder is Japan like this? And oddly enough, the answer is yes. When it comes to like some of the area, so I stayed in Misawa, which is if I'm right, the Aomori prefecture. And yeah, there's some places that remind me like directly from Raleigh. It was really funny. But yeah, man, like I tell people they should travel, and Japan, while a lot of people kind of have that knee-jerk reaction because most would go, I'm American, speak English, I'm gonna go to places like England, or maybe even be adventurous and go to like Germany or somewhere where English might be used.
Yeah.
Like, so Japan might seem, or Asia in general might seem almost kind of like territory not yet ready to swim in, but it was gorgeous. Yeah, because I was there with my brother because he was stationed there at the time, and yeah, like the Japanese people are sweethearts. It's very interesting because the limited Japanese I know, it's a phrase that Japanese people do, and I love it when just when they're surprised, and just like the little goes a long way aspect where my limited Japanese, but if I would say something in Japanese as a response or as a greeting, then it's such a novelty. And I think that's one of the most amazing things about Japanese people, are like things that we might take for granted still come off as novel. Like, they embrace novelty.
Yeah.
In a way that's just phenomenal. And I think that's something that there's a kinship to it, where while I think that people should go to Japan, if they have a love for Japanese culture, they should go to Japan. If they've never been outside of the country, I think they should go to Japan as traveling in general. But yeah, Japan was really good. It was really, really great. It just the culture, and when I say the culture, I don't just mean like just the folks themselves, but like we're driving and then there's these like Shinto shrines, like the gateways.
Yeah.
Just like the temple gateways, and it's almost like surreal because it's like, this is something I've seen only in anime at the time, you know what I mean? Or whatever media that I saw, they're just like, it's right here. Yeah, and this again, like Japanese folks are phenomenal. Because I didn't go to a bigger city. I think we went to actual Aomori. I know we're around Hachinohe and Sendai. So Sendai was the biggest city we went to. I tell people that I'm very, very, very thankful that I went to Sendai, because after the tsunami, it's just changed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so getting to see that, just the things that are just, I don't know, there's something unreal about it. So who knows? Maybe, I think I've made this suggestion before. It's like do the PiP in Japan.
This is like, that will be interesting. Like, I wonder, like, what's the best way to phrase it? Where a good place there to do it would be.
Yeah.
Because obviously, Japanese people and like just the culture, when you're out in public, you're like silent, you know? Not silent,
Exactly.
but you're quieter to be respectful.
Yes.
So it's like, to not look out of place, I wonder where a good place would be, for one, and what place would have a good internet, or if we should record it and then live stream it.
Yeah. Well, sure.
Like, both those options are perfectly fine. It's just, intriguing about like, I wonder what it could be, because I don't know how good like Japanese internet is.
I would say better. It's been boasted that places like Korea, Japan, Hong Kong have ridiculous internet in comparison.
Oh, I know Korea does. Korea has crazy good internet, surprisingly.
Like their internet cafes are something to be like desired within your own house kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay. So, if you could go back to Japan, what would be one like place that you would absolutely visit that you didn't get a chance to visit before?
Well, see, if it's a place, I don't know. That's interesting. There are creepy abandoned amusement parks.
Yeah.
Now, me and my brother, we saw it on the side of the road. We pulled over, and for some reason, like I've joked about it because it's like I just did not take pictures of it.
Yeah.
And I literally took pictures of everything there. I had like 2 cameras, and I would just take pictures constantly of everything. But for some reason, I just did not want to take pictures of this amusement park. Very, very funny. I don't know, just something about it, the vibes, I guess. But yeah, because I mean, and you think about like the memes that they'll have it where there's like creepy rides or that were probably beautiful and friendly when you first saw them, now abandoned. So there's like the little connecty cars, and there's this giant grinning rustic car, and there's like this weird mermaid. It was interesting, but I'd go there. I'd go to a lot more like shrines. I went to a few of them. A hot spring. Actually, I would do that. I would do a I'm trying to think of the Japanese traditional hot spring. Cannot think of that right offhand. But do you know what I'm talking about, correct?
The hot springs?
Yeah.
I believe I know what you're talking about because of my research extensively into anime.
Orokukan.
Ah, okay. That sounds more familiar than just hot spring.
Ryokukan. Yeah, so Ryokukan is kind of like, sometimes they do like hot spring connected to like the inns, traditional ones.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, so you've seen this. So yes, one of those would have been very fun to just like to hang out with people I know and so forth.
I'm pretty sure, like off topic, but in Iceland, I'm pretty sure they have a giant like hot spring as well.
Yes, Iceland is known for their hot springs as well.
Yeah, they give you like some sort of mud like mask thing to put on during it. It's really weird, but cool.
And also like Anabe. So the whole like was it the kotatsu? So what they have like the big boiling pot in the middle, and they have like these tables that have blankets over them.
Yeah.
So like that's like a nice seasonal. It's getting like fall, winter. It's getting cold, and so you just get your table. And it's very funny because some of those tables are expensive. Like just to actually have this specialized table, and then just kind of sitting around this table and eating food. I don't know. There's something about that. I think it kind of touches back when we were little, like me and my siblings and cousins, and just kind of the togetherness kind of thing. But yeah, just that concept, just hanging out around like a blanketed table, telling silly stories, and just kind of falling asleep if you want to. Just I don't know that
don't those tables also have like a heater in them?
Yes, yeah.
That would be a cool like winter D&D table.
Oh, absolutely, man. That's the thing though, like all the food that you usually cook there, I don't think anyone would make it just be kind of like, all right, guys, what do you want to do? Look around the table, everyone's just kind of asleep. Which would be kind of fun, I think.
Are you talking about like hot pot or something like that, where you...
Yeah, that's Nabe, it's hot pot. No.
You're throwing these terms at me that I don't know yet, but I will one day.
And now you've known a new word, yeah. So the nabe. It's very funny because I think I've said it as being one of my favorite animes. If not, then I've done a disservice to it. Wallflower. I think that when we're doing like our top 8, I think I talked about Wallflower, but one of the episodes where them trying to make this table, and they're just like the silliness because the one guy, that was a childhood memory, and his whole thing was trying to either make this table or buy this table or find this table. So it's really, really weird centered thing. But I just remember him screaming about nabe the whole time, yelling at people about doing it.
Yes.
But yeah, that one. Yeah, but I don't know. Like, yeah, with Japan though, I think definitely I would just like to. I mean, it's again, there's something about it. It's one of my favorite places that I've traveled to, and if people love Japanese culture or anime, it's something they should just go. You know what I mean? It's something they should do for themselves.
Yeah.
Even if they're intimidated, even though if they're intimidated by speaking Japanese to people, like a couple of words in a dictionary, and you can get by. Make a pen pal. Do people do pen pals anymore? They should do pen pals.
There's my girlfriend actually has an app on her phone, and it's sort of like pen paling because you can text people that speak different languages. It's like you speak to them in their native language, and they'll speak to you in yours.
Oh, okay.
To sort of practice it.
That's really cool. Now, have you ever had a pen pal?
Nope.
So. So it's funny because I had a teacher.
Wait a second. Have you seen my handwriting? Do you think I had a pen pal?
I mean, well, depends on the age because if you're 5, everyone was writing like you. I guess I don't know.
While that is true,
yeah,
and I take no offense to that because it's the truth. Also, on a different note, it would be really cool to learn Japanese and only make my D&D notes in Japanese. So even if my players saw it, they'd be like, "Crap."
Well, let me know. I mean, I haven't had to whip my Japanese out, except for having to I'll say things to my nephews every once in a while, and then just if you know me, the random Japanese phrases that I will say, just out of habit, but. Because that's the best way to learn. Honestly, the best way to learn a language. Yes, Rosetta Stone, not a sponsor, but it's a really cool way that they teach you.
Yeah.
But I was using, I can't think of the name. It's that one company that makes Prism or Press, whatever. They make all the different language tapes.
Yeah.
And so that one was good for me to try to learn Romanian. But another person who's interested in learning the language is a resource. It's a valuable tool. So if you're trying to learn a language, even if they're not learning it with you, again, I would really implore that concept of you just finding someone who wants to learn the language, because then you're excited, they're excited. But yeah, just harass your friends and family. That's how with Romanian. I didn't learn it the first time I went, and I didn't have a fun time. And the second time I started learning it, and I would just say random Romanian things to a buddy, and he'd be like, "But why?" And I would only answer in Romanian. And then the point I start learning Romanian, and he started learning Romanian, and you feed off of each other. And you'll learn language quickly. And it's kind of amazing and terrifying. A secret power when you start understanding the language, and then because you're so close to it, and you're like, man, I'm saying this phrase 6 times and I don't get it. And then when you're just watching or just listening to an anime, and then someone says something and you're like, oh, they said this. What? I understand them now, and it just opens up. So definitely just try.
Yes, I'm thinking I might order the dictionary for hiragana and katakana, start with katakana because I'm pretty sure that's the easier one.
So hiragana and katakana, you're going to learn those interchangeably. Because hiragana are going to be for your traditional Japanese words that are kind of like, so like names and certain things like that don't have kanji to it. Katakana is going to be things that are borrowed, usually, like baru pin, which is like ballpoint pen, or pinku, which we made that joke earlier.
Oh yeah, we did.
Because even Kamen Rider isn't a traditional Japanese word, so it's written in katakana versus written in hiragana. And so, but kanji is easy too. It has this. If you have a sense of common sense about it, then like say like meal is technically 4 miles around a dog, like the symbol for dog. Like the symbol for brother is also like it's really funny. The symbol for big brother is also the symbol for like you change a few things as a symbol for like government, which is very funny that they also thought big brother was government. But yeah. It's very interesting stuff. But yeah, like so because you don't have to force yourself to learn every kanji, because just like how we English speakers don't know every word that comes around.
Yeah.
It's common. One of my Japanese friends, like I'm having my dictionary, I'm saying this word, she's like, wakatanai. It's like, wait, you don't know that word?
You do it in the streets.
You're like us.
You do it
I don't know words. But yeah, so I mean, I wouldn't try to force yourself to learn it, except for things that just like pop up and you just need to know. I mean, that's how technically we all learn anything. We're just kind of so close to it. It just seems like it's just easily accessible.
So what you're telling me is find a bunch of weebs and be like, I can show you the way.
Yes, you'll be the messiah of them.
All right then, Josh, you heard the man.
I mean, seriously. I mean, that's the thing. Like, especially if you're lucky enough to have so many friends that are into anime.
Yes.
I mean, speaking. That's the thing. Like, because that's the thing. If I go, Das Vidania, and da, you know what that means, right?
Does da mean yeah?
Yeah, and like Das Vidania is like farewell in Russian. But then if you go like si or gracias or we, you know what I mean? Like, so
yeah.
Think about it. We've said it enough to know what those words mean. And so it's there. Like, we've said it so much without thinking that this means this word, that it's easy. It's just when we start trying to think of like, oh gosh, what about subject before the predicate and so forth, that we start getting intimidated by it. But I mean, certain phrases, and after a while, 2 phrases become 6 phrases, and then after a while, you're speaking conversational Japanese, which is easier in the concepts of any language. Because that's one of the pitfalls of people who learn Spanish, is that a lot of like Hispanics go, well, you're speaking it so like collegially, or you're speaking it really proper. Like, no one speaks Spanish like that. Speak Mexican Spanish or speak Puerto Rican Spanish.
Yeah.
And
you're speaking it like, I guess, on like a professional level when you learn it that way.
Exactly. And there's like not slang and so forth. And I think one of the biggest things that I took away from learning language is that
it's like saying, wait. For instance, it's like when people that don't know English come to like the South and we say y'all instead of you all.
Oh yeah.
They're like, what?
They get you for that. Like, British people will like rip into you for using y'all and you all. It's like, why don't you just say you? That's also plural. But just threaten to throw their tea in the water and they stop it.
I'm not good at grammar, Colin. You're throwing these big plural words at me.
But I'll say, so with language though, the biggest takeaway, which is, well, it might not even that, it's fun to do, is to speak the accent of the country. And not like you're doing it like a caricature or just like, you know what I mean? Like you're picking at them. But like, so I learned Romanian, vaguely, but then there was a dancer that I met and she was talking. I was like, oh, it's like, where are you from? And she was like, oh, I'm from Romania. So I was like, oh, wow. So I added a Romanian accent to her, like, I was like, what was it? I said like, was it nighttime zone? Noptă bună, I think that's right, which just means good evening. And so she stopped and was like, were you studying in Romania? It's like, no, I was there for 2 weeks. She's like, wait, 2 weeks? Were you a student? I was like, no. She's like, then why do you have a Romanian accent? And that's done it with different places. Like, it's like, because if you speak Spanish in a way that people can go, okay, this is where you're from. It's just like English. Think of it just like English. As forgive the accent, but if I'm walking over here, then people are like, oh, this guy's from, New York or wherever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Our accents do that same thing where someone goes, what part of Russia are you from? And so I tell people, like, if you're learning a language, find out a person that you like from that country and listen to how they speak. And if they speak English, they're speaking English the way that they know it. So there's an accent, and that accent will transfer over to their language, and it messes up anyone. Like, they'll go, oh, you're American, and then we start speaking it and you have that person's accent. They're like, wait, but you're not using an American accent to speak it. Because was it the joke is like, gracias, de nada, konnichiwa. So like, learn the accent and you're becoming more of a chameleon. Yeah.
Well, it is pretty close to 11. Would you like to go ahead and just hop over to the Lovecraft country?
Yeah, absolutely. One thing I will touch on, how do you feel about at least 2 of the UA that came out? I think these are close to your characters, like close to their lineage. So one of the
wait. Let me pull it up. You explain it for them, but I'm going to be reading it.
Okay, so the UA for Dungeons & Dragons is Unearthed Arcana for those who don't play D&D. But there's the Way of the Ascendant Dragon, which is a monk class, subclass, and then there's the Draken Warden, or the Drake Warden for the Ranger.
Drake.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, just that concept. So there's some little cool things. I haven't read completely into it just yet. I want to see. I think there's a few more that should drop. But I know they keep using the picture of the blue drake from D&D. So it's very interesting. I think there might be a few more. People are wanting the pact, dragon pact to happen for your warlocks. So, don't know.
Yeah, I have a dragon, like a homebrew dragon pact for one of the characters in my game.
Okay.
It would be, what's his name? Bradley Tyrant. There we go. I'm reading this. Okay, I mean, this is cool. The monk one is kind of like whatever to me. The other one's kind of cool, like the Drake Companion.
Yeah.
Although, low key, if a player in my game wanted a Drake Companion, they would have to basically do what I did, because I think it's a cool aspect.
Yeah.
They would have to go get, be a dragon's friend, do the ritual to perform, make a drake.
Yeah.
But you can summon it. You can summon the drake. After you've made friends with it, I would be like, yeah, you can use everything that they give you.
Yeah. kind of want to get your hot take on that one before we jump over to this other topic.
It is cool. What? I wish I could use this as like Nazir, my character. So you at 11th level, you can actually choose if you want to use your breath weapon or if you want your Drake to use a breath weapon. And 100% I would just be like, let the Drake do it because I'm not going to be wearing my head.
I like how you say that, and people are probably like, you're not going to be wearing your head.
It's because of my Dullahan armor. Hey. I don't know if you heard that.
I just heard a smack.
Oh, it wasn't. That was my elbow popping.
Oh, that's fine. Now, do you want to move on to Lovecraft Country?
Yes, I will do further research into this for next week.
So, in advance, we'll just say that there will be some spoilers for Lovecraft Country. Our aim is to at least talk about it for probably. Do you want to do 15 minutes or do you want to do 30 minutes?
15 to 30, something like that.
Okay.
So my goal is to just be done before we talk about, the final thing.
No, absolutely. I mean, like, I feel like with Lovecraft Country, we could probably go on a whole hour tangent about it. So I wanted to see if 15 would set it or 30, because then that's where the timestamp just so.
Well, then here, let's say 15 minutes then.
Perfect. Talk about it. Like, what? Give me your feels about it.
Alrighty. So I feel like the monster effects were done really well.
Mm-hmm.
The blood effects were done very poorly.
Now, which one?
The blood.
The blood. Okay.
When I forget her name, the mom was like out of space, like in a different dimension, reliving things. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Hippolyta.
Okay, yeah, Hippolyta. I was like, it's some like off the wall name to me at least.
I can only think of D. It's Greek.
Yeah. But like when she was using her sword and they were slaying all those people, the blood effects were horrible. That is my only like quarrel with it.
Yeah.
But the overall like monster effects, they were pretty good. My favorite plot point, like my favorite person to follow, I think, was Atticus. But I did enjoy. See, I'm bad with names. I know how they look. The blonde girl that can transform. Yeah, Christine. I enjoyed like whenever she came into play. I was like, all right, important stuff is gonna happen. You need to pay attention to this. I really, I like her like motive behind what she was doing, like how she wasn't allowed to be part of the. She wasn't allowed to play any reindeer game.
Yeah.
And that caused her to just take her own method after everyone else had died and try to use Atticus for making herself immortal. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed how it ended. I'm still trying not to like spoil everything, so.
Yeah, no, I'm same here.
I enjoy how it ended because I know I said this the other day or last Tuesday. It's the whole like show sort of like breaks the mold of what Lovecraft kinda is.
Yeah.
In like the aspect of the cast and everything. Would you say that's right?
I will say that, yeah.
And I think they ended it breaking the mold. Like, still, like, the mold is still broken with how they ended it because of how, like, their whole reason to continue is, like, we're gonna get Atticus to be safe at the end. And then he's not, which I saw coming, but I'm glad that they made it to where he wasn't saved, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I did really enjoy Hippolyta's, like, weird dimension, like, time machine thing. That episode was really cool. My favorite character was... Still don't know his name. Hippolyta's husband.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Uncle George? Is that right?
Yeah, Uncle George. I think he was my favorite just because of how, like, down to earth he was.
Exactly.
He was, like, the most normal out of all of them.
Yeah.
I enjoyed, like, the action in the beginning where when they were going to Arkham for the first time. Arkham. I don't know why I said Arkham.
Because that it was a play on that idea. Because Arkham is Lovecraft's, like, stomping ground and, like, contribution to it. So Arkham and then Arkham sounds like it as if, you know, like, it's a world where he based everything from, kind of thing. Or
Yeah.
place. Yeah.
Alrighty. So with that, what are your takeaways? Like, what did you like?
So, like, I'll play with some of the negatives since they're actually technically the smallest of it. Actually, not too many. So, like, my one of my jokes is just the Game of Thrones travel. Because with Game of Thrones, they'll be like, we have to go here, and then they're just here, even though they should take a lot longer. And I think underneath the house seemed to be a weird, like, time. Like, people were just traveling and getting to places a little bit quicker than what they should. It took them hours to one place, and then it took them, like, seems like 30 minutes, or it took them a day to get somewhere, and then they're there in, like, under 30 minutes. You know what I mean?
I kind of liked that, though, because didn't they said that house had something to do with it in the beginning as well, I'm pretty sure.
Yes and no. So the house did, but it didn't play on the ideas of warped dimension in time and space. But it was almost like a ley line, and then plus where they would just, like, the experiments and so forth. But thinking of the house, the ghost, you know what I mean? That was a phenomenal use of, like, spirits and ghosts, like how they looked.
Yeah.
I did like that. And it's very funny
because
agree.
They were pretty good.
Yeah. And it touches into the body horror, which I love. It's one of my bread. So I don't like, so it's not like torture porn or whatever, like your Hostels and the Saw, but like body horror, like your Cronenberg, something's weird. And I think that's why I like the Shoggoths as well. The Shoggoths from, like, H.P. Lovecraft stories are a little bit different. But if you remember, like, when I talk about things that are like eldritch and uncanny, I do give them a bunch of eyes that don't blink all at the same time unless they do. And I love doing that because other player Noah, his reactions to such terrible things make it addictive, you know.
Like you said, you can tell it's a good D&D game if you break Noah's heart at least once.
I think in that what I mean, just like if I can get them to feel, then I'm doing a good job.
Sure it does.
Yeah, I mean, because I was talking to Cody about that, and he was like, "You're good at that." I was like, "Well, you know," he's like, "I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but I don't know." But yes, but so to the positives of it, yeah. So I mean, well, the body horror is one, but also like when they introduced, was it Gia? So the Korean woman. that like, while I will say that all the time, every like performance is great, but I don't know what it was about her explaining to Atticus who she is and so forth. It kind of got me a little like, okay, I'm feeling this. Like, I could get teary-eyed to that. Like, phenomenal, strong, like just a punchy dialogue, very good, just impactful. And even like them showing like what she is and who she is, they still went at it by going, this is a traditional thing, but yet the thing I love about like Lovecraft is that we are shown monsters or things that exist in the outer realms of reality, and all we can do is call it by what it's the most closely associated to us. Like, take Cthulhu. So Cthulhu isn't technically a octopus-headed dragon humanoid bat-winged creature. It is just what we can conceptualize for it. And it kind of plays on that thing, so we have to call it this because that is what we can only associate it as. I might be going too deep in there, like, no, we just wanted to do it, but but yeah, but other things, like thinking about Hippolyta, I love her intelligence.
Yes, she was a very, like, her problem solving, like when it came to like the arithmetic to fixing that time machine thing, I was like, yes, you gave us like, we knew she was like smart, but like when it got to that point, it's like, you're not like BSing your way to get her there. The character is actually that smart. She can solve this.
Yes, I think her dimension jumping, which I love that concept of jumping. I love the fact that that she did, how can I explain it? So she went from just being strong mentally to being strong physically.
Yeah.
So now she's not just a beast at like astronomy and math. She can now fight, and that means something later, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just like, oh, the brainy kid has to be brainy. She's like, no, I got some muscle behind me. And I do love that. I think it was really, really cool in that concept. And it's like a contribute to, like, just a applause to, I think, a lot of the female leads as well, because a lot of the male leads I've seen in other things. So when they're attached, it's just kind of like oh yeah, I know this is gonna be good.
One of my
okay, go ahead.
So like, just to put this in there to make sure I don't forget to say it, one of my favorite like episode ever was D getting chased.
Yes.
Like, the music in that was pretty on point.
Just that,
as well as the characters.
Like the little caricatures, like,
yeah,
that dancing was phenomenal, like just phenomenal, and they were creepy, and I love it. And I was like, it was like, this is your bread and butter, this episode, because I love when music is used ironically. Like, so like in Face Off, they're playing Somewhere Over the Rainbow whilst violence is happening. Jordan Peele did it with, like, was it Us? So he's playing songs that you should remember and recognize as good, but they're being put to these sinister aspects.
Yeah.
So the fact that they kept using that for a cue of like, they're here, loved it. And then when you see them, their movements, those girls killed it. Like, I loved watching them, like, just the weirdness, and it was the right amount of like whimsical and then yet creepy.
Yeah, it was it almost looked like too fabricated to be real, and that was really cool to like watch. Yeah.
And just otherworldly, and just when you're like, can you get any creepier? It's like, oh, you can. I love it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was constantly like, you're rooting for her to survive, but at the same time, you're happy to see them on screen again.
Yeah. I like that episode because it didn't make it a point of like, oh, like, she is going to die. Like, she could just keep running.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if she could just keep running, then they wouldn't get her, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's like, and like, while they were on the screen and they were like dead center kind of, they weren't necessarily like thrown in your face like, oh, here's the big bad person, you should be like scared. It's sort of like you're paying attention to D more than them, and that's like one of the cool aspects, I think.
And they do a thing that I applaud like horror directors doing, where they're building a tension, and you as the audience, I call it like ironic, because I mean, like, so the true like ironic when it comes to plays is that the audience knows the information, but the actors and the players don't know it. And so when you'll see things like Pang Brothers will do it, so you see D or you see something and you see behind her the things getting closer, and she's not reacting because technically she wouldn't know it's there. And I just love that, where it's just kind of like, so you are having that anxiety of like, you need to move, girl, you need to go, but she is stuck in the things like, I'm doing what I need to do, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that was phenomenal. And so again, like just with the female leads, like, cause the Journey Smollett, phenomenal as Letty. Like she's just, and I've already talked about like Jamie Chung, and but then like again, like Abby Lee, was it Crenshaw, the one that played Christina? Like, so this funny thing is, because I was the whole time I was like, where do I know her from? And I don't want to look at Wikipedia IMDb, I want to just guess it. It was like, where do I know her from? And she finally made a face or said something, and I was like, she's from Mad Max, Fury Road. I was like, that's where I know her from, and looked it up, like, it is her. I was like, okay. It's like, that's that one thing, and I loved seeing that, where there's a character that they had a great performance, but it was small, and then they get put into something where they have a larger part, and it's just like, you had faith because of what you saw, their limited performance, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, like, completely enjoyed it. I don't know if they will make a second season or what, but I do enjoy, like, it's interesting because I do my issues with horror movies, and this technically kind of falls into that same aspect while things were telegraphed. I don't know, I still found it to be a very satisfying, for the most part, like satisfying end to it.
I feel like if they did have like a second season, I think it would be cool to go down Atticus and Letty's like son's path, because he wrote the book about them.
Exactly.
To see if anything interesting happened to him and why he was interested in it.
Now, if there is a second season, what would you like to see?
More magic.
Yes, gonna fall into that same thing. I would like to see more Lovecraftian aspects.
Yeah.
Again, I mean, there is a book, and I might just actually be one of my things just to read to see, just to see how that goes. But also, the Tulsa episode, like that one. I think my sister said it best, where she's like, it was good, but it was heavy.
Yeah.
Just that concept, and just again, HBO does a thing where they're like, hey, we're teaching you things about history that you might not have known. Because there's a few people who just didn't know who Emmett Till was. It's like, yeah, he's a real person, and oh boy. Yeah.
Well, is that all we want to discuss on the Lovecraft Country?
Yeah. Do you have a new topic?
So there's a new game I found that's coming out. Or it's out, but I think it might be like early access or something along those lines. It is called Zelter. So, have you seen Stardew Valley?
Yes.
Right. So, you know the art style, like the pixelated art style and stuff like that? So it's that art style, but it is a zombie apocalypse game.
Okay.
And it's like a survival game. So you go out and you collect resources, you come back and you craft. I don't know if there's any sort of base building. I think there is. But you're exploring and you get to kill zombies and stuff like that. It has a sort of like a charming art style to it, I would say.
Okay.
Like, it's nothing that's like, ooh, the graphics on this game, again, it's like Stardew Valley. But
Yeah.
I would rank it a little higher than Stardew Valley in terms of like graphics quality, even though it's that same style. For different reasons. It's a little bit smoother in the way it looks. It's not as pixelated, and I think that will lend itself to be better for this kind of game. Whereas in Graveyard Keeper, it's a little bit more grainy, but I like that for Graveyard Keeper.
Yes.
Because it's sort of in a weird way it matches the aspect of like the play style of the game.
Gotcha.
So okay, a better way to put it is Graveyard Keeper has way more textures on it, like just the screen, whereas Zelter would have more smoothed out textures. Does that make sense?
No, it doesn't.
Okay. But I've seen some gameplay of it. I think I might give it a play soon. The most I've seen is just like you can chop down trees, you have a home base, you go out, you have like your own farm, you craft your own weapons, or some of them. They're NPCs, and then you can have like companions. And I think it is in early access. It's like $20. So the phrase for it is a crafting survival in a cute zombie apocalyptic world.
Cute zombie apocalyptic. I like that.
Like when you open the backpack of like the girl's backpack that you play as, there's like a kitten charm on it, covered in like blood. And I'm like, yep, this seems like a pretty interesting game.
Is it? It sounds like dark, but I would really. I don't know how they would do it, but I would love for them to, like a designer, game designer, and dev to take a bunch of different like items. So like your crowbar, your katana, your fake katana, your baseball bat, and basically hit things with it.
Yeah.
And then see how long, like how many hits can you get with this item before it breaks? And then make a zombie game that if they have destructible items, that's the thing. You know what I mean? Like that's what happens. So
better yet, make it to where like if you have just a rusty one, and it takes like the rusty ones you can find everywhere, but they break in 7 hits or something.
Possibly.
Like crazy, but then make the zombies to where you need at least 8 hits. So like a person that doesn't know that, they're like, oh, I got this rusty machete. They go to hit it and they're like, oh my god.
Yeah, because think about like how much, like, so I mean, think about like crowbars. Like how many times, well, I don't know, sometimes I will abuse crowbars and just hit random things with it. Like as a kid, I found a crowbar, just randomly, a beautiful pristine crowbar, and I hit everything with it. But it never
not like destructive at all.
Yeah, well, I mean, so I hit things that weren't property of other people. Like there's like old cinder blocks and rocks, and sometimes I did hit a tree and just sidewalks, but you know, nothing truly destructive, because I mean, I'm a little boy, so I'm not like breaking sidewalks in half and so forth. But in that concept, it never broke. And even as an adult, I know like buddies, and we're just like using random things as not intended. So like I understand, like, so if you found like a hammer, so you're using a hammer as a weapon, one of the best melee weapons, but that's neither here nor there. But you're using this hammer, and it's just like hammer breaks. Yes, the handle might break if you have like wooden hammer 1, but you still have a hammer head, and you can fashion it to make a new hammer, which would be cool. But like if you're running around with a baseball bat, yes, hitting brick walls and walking corpses with a baseball bat, there's a chance for it to break. But how many hits would it take? So basically, I'm asking the Tootsie Roll question, but with melee zombie apocalypse survival in mind. Like, how many hits does it take to bend a bat? Or, because have you ever played Dead Island?
Oh, absolutely.
So, the weird thing about Dead Island when I was my run through is that I had a ton of melee weapons. The reason why was because I would just drop kick zombies into water.
I ended up being, like, in most games, I enjoy being the driver.
Yeah.
So I would just, like, I enjoy games more when I'm co-oping it with friends.
Mm-hmm.
So they would be out there just, like, doing stupid stuff, and they'd be like, help! And I'll just run them over.
With the car randomly.
Yeah.
So with that one, I would literally look in the area, run around until I'm just like conga lining a bunch of zombies, and then jump into the swimming pool and just kick them until they just all fall in the swimming pool, and then that's it. And then I just calmly walk around and scavenge. But I would like a zombie game where combat isn't really the focus, but like it's something that's a part of the game, obviously, as it has to be. But like if you find a crowbar, which maybe a crowbar is actually one of the hardest items to find because it's a really great tool to have. But once you have it, you're like, yeah, this melee weapon. But then the designers go through looking, how much does it take to destroy a crowbar? Or how much does it take to destroy a fake katana or versus a real katana? I think that'd be really interesting to put into a game where if they're going to have break mechanics, they're going to put breaking mechanics to its true form.
I would enjoy a zombie game where it's sort of like the opening to Walking Dead.
Ah, yeah.
How like you wake up in the hospital, but maybe not even like that. Like
28 days later.
Maybe. So like a procedural. I don't know if that's how you use that. Like generated world. So it's every time it's random, but it's like the same assets.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like endless in a way, like Minecraft. And there's randomized NPCs that you can find everywhere. There's randomized settlements, sellers, everything like that. But it's mainly I know there's like 7 days to die. I don't want that. I want it to be more like cartoony, less chunky. Because 7 days to die is really like, it's clunky in a way. Whoa. You still there?
Yep, I'm still there. That was weird.
Okay. Like maybe even instead of having the zombies, like all these different zombie games have like their own gimmicks.
Yeah.
Like Dying Light is like, our zombies like go into rage mode at nighttime. 7 days to die is every 7 days. There's a huge horde. Maybe even like just randomize it so where like at any moment there could just be a horde sweeping through.
Yeah.
And like when I say horde, I don't mean like, because 7 days to die also had like the small little wandering hordes. I'm talking like, you best be on top of a building because the flood is coming.
Yeah.
But during like during normal times though, they'll just be like dumb and stupid. And while they are a threat, they're not going to be a crazy threat. It's like really when you're caught off guard out in the world, and you can turn any building you want into your base. You can, if you find someone in like a settlement that you like, maybe you can do like charisma checks to get them to come out with you.
Yeah.
Like go explore and join you as a companion. Stuff like that. That would be cool. Like out of combat wise kind of thing.
Thinking of like zombie games and charisma checks and following. So me and Raul were playing was it Resident Evil Outbreak, I think? Or maybe it was like Outbreak 2, I don't know. So like he was super hyped about it, hyped it, waiting for it to drop, finally released, and we get this game and we're like stuck in a cafe. And so with Outbreak, you have to control like all these different NPCs, including yourself, you know?
Yeah.
You have to tell them what to do and they'll like answer you and then do it. So they're all in the diner. This is the first level. And I think like a zombie like bangs on the door or kind of like bursts through a window, and the NPC starts running around the diner's aisles, like just doing laps. And he's like, hey, go protect the door. And the NPC would just look at him, no, and just keep running laps. And just would not do anything. And then when another zombie, like he had to do it himself. He got rid of the zombie, boarded up the window. And then I think there's like a zombie like at the window, not in, but just kind of at it. So then the same NPC start running again, and then another one. Hey, can you get me your gun? I don't think so. No, and just so I think we finally just made it outside, and then it was like zombie something, and there's just again them running around. Shoot the zombie. I can't. You have a gun. So it's like we're done. We're just done with this game, and we just like never picked it back up. So funny, man.
Like talking like again on the topic of zombie games, one of the games that made me be like I want to play video games on computer was DayZ, like way back in like 2012 or something like that. It was like this is my reason. And then it's like I played it for a little bit on a friend's computer. I watched it long enough that I had like the main map memorized. And it's funny because I remember for years I would tell Noah, I was like, we need to get DayZ. Like I have the map committed to memory kind of thing. So like, and like, you know, before I get to play it again, it's like 6 years past kind of thing. And DayZ is now its standalone game, still using the same map. So I'm talking to Noah, and I'm like we finally get it. We get on, and I spawn in the middle of like literal nowhere, like the woods. And Noah's like, I'm by the sea, and there's a big church on the hill. And I'm like, I know where you at. I don't know the name of it, but if you stay in that area, I can make my way to you. Yeah. And like I was saying this to him, but I was low key like, do I really know? Because around me was just woods. It was just woods. And so I just looked up at the sky and I'm like, I'm gonna run this way. Because you don't have, like in game, you don't have a map.
Yeah.
You have to find it. And you don't have a compass. You have to find, like all these things you have to find. It's really hard. People call it running simulator because you run a lot. But like literally like an hour of me running because I somehow spawned at like the very top of the map, which is like the advanced area. I run and I'm like surviving off of like food, like fruit that fall from the trees, and I get to the area Noah's in. He's died a couple times, but he's like made it back to this town. And he's like, where did you run from? I'm like, okay, we're gonna Google a map and I'm gonna show you practically how far I had to run, because I'm pretty sure I was towards the top of the map, because I literally just chose a direction and ran straight.
Yeah.
But I think DayZ is a really good zombie game, like in my opinion, because of how scarce things are and how like brutal the combat can be. Like if you die, you don't have a place where you can respawn. It's a random respawn.
Yeah.
You lose all your stuff, and then, like, if you're good at talking to people in games, it can be a real benefit. But with that being said, yeah, that's all I had to say. I want to play it again.
So, on to playing. So, the segment, what are you watching, playing, reading, listening to? So, what you doing right now?
Well, the 2 manga I got are the first 2 volumes of My Hero. Obviously, I'm not reading them yet, but I would like to start trying to read them. And I'm also waiting on the next chapter of like Boruto to come out, and the next chapter of My Hero to come out, because it comes out November 1st. Well, usually it's been coming out on Fridays, but they took like a little break, and they were like, we're just going to put the next chapter out November 1st. And I was like, okay, good enough, as long as it's a good chapter. But I don't know if you've heard, or if I've told you, but in Boruto, something real big has happened. So, do you know what Boruto is?
Yeah, I just don't watch it, but I know it.
So, the anime Boruto, like I will say, if you take Naruto and Sasuke out of the equation, and like Boruto is just, it's a good anime. Like on its own kind of thing. But if you add Naruto and Sasuke, it's like everyone wants to see them instead of watch like Boruto kind of thing.
That was the true romance, you know that?
Yes. Well, anyway, the manga, and this is spoilers for anyone who doesn't read the manga. There's a character. Their names are kind of confusing, so I'm not going to say it because I know I don't remember it. Actually, it might be Jigen, possibly. I don't know. He's a big bad guy that Naruto and Sasuke, like normally with all their power-ups, like right now, they literally get picked up by the face and thrown. And so Naruto goes, he's running to save his son Boruto, and him and Kurama, which is the Nine Tails, have a little discussion, and Kurama's like, yo, I'm pretty sure if you go, you're gonna die. And Naruto's like, I know that, but I can't just like let my son get beat up, basically.
Yeah.
The reason why Jigen wants his son is because in Otsutsuki, which is like an alien thing, is being reborn into him. Reincarnation. It's weird. I'll have to explain it another time. But Kurama goes, are you prepared to die? And he goes, Naruto responds with, I've been prepared to die ever since I became Hokage. And then he's like, no, ever since I decided to become Hokage, he's been prepared to die. And so Kurama goes, well, there is a way that you could possibly win, but no matter what, if you do it, you're dead. Like, you're just dead afterwards. And so the latest chapter ends with Naruto getting in front of Boruto and saying, Kurama, I'm ready. And then they reveal half of his face transformed. And so I'm kind of excited to see what is to come of this. You know what I mean? And then I'll just go with watching Jujutsu Kaisen. I actually watched The Greatest Showman last night. Have you seen that movie?
No, I have not. But I know of it.
It was a really good movie. I haven't watched it at all before. It was sort of it was on the list to watch, but it was never a priority. The music was good. It hit all of the notes that I enjoyed, in sort of a musical would do.
Yeah.
And then I also like the fact that Zendaya did all of her What's the crap? You probably know the circus where they're swinging from the ropes up at
The
the top.
trapeze.
Okay, yeah, the trapeze. She did most of those by herself.
Wow.
Without the stunt devil, because the director was like, "All right." I saw this in like a short little review clip. He was like, "All right, so we have a stunt double, but I'm gonna need you to train so you can do all this yourself, and we can use the stunt double as little as possible." And she had been training on like a smaller rig with a net below it. And when she finally got there to do like the actual shot or scene, it was like 20 feet taller and no net below it. And she was about to be like, "We need a net, y'all can like CGI it out or something." But then apparently Hugh Jackman was like, "Zendaya, you're a badass. I want you to know that." And then she was like, "Well, guess I gotta do it now. Hugh Jackman just said that to me." And I'm like, "Alrighty, I'd be the same way. Let's be honest here."
Yeah.
But the songs in it were really good. Hugh Jackman did a really good job on something that isn't just Wolverine.
Yeah.
Zendaya did a good job. All the actors did. Playing. I am playing the Warzone thingy, some Baldur's Gate with you. Hopefully, might be playing Zelter. And on playing, we had a horror game night. And next week I'll have it edited. There will be some funny moments from that I'll show on stream. Mainly of our former or like past guest, Josh, screaming his tits off. Literally.
Yeah, because I purposely made sure to have Noah play on Witch Hunt, and I was not disappointed at all. I think it was perfect.
It didn't go perfect. Me and you sort of gave each other like looks. We were like, "Yes, this is what we expected." Like when Noah was like, "Oh, I can only shoot one bullet."
Yep, that's what I wanted to hear.
I looked at you and I was like, "This is what you did. You wanted this."
Exactly. It would be kind of fun too. I don't know if we're gonna put it on the PiP or just kind of for the Facebook itself, but hopefully we'll be done with our D&D table as well.
I can do it with all of them.
Okay.
Like YouTube, Facebook.
Yeah, I think showing off that big boy. Let's see. I think we took about like off of 4 inches of the side, so it should be like a 7.8 by 8 foot table.
Yes, that is designed kind of with D&D, or mainly with D&D and other tabletop games in mind, I would say.
Big boy. It's a big old table.
Oh, it most definitely is. And then I'll just say listening to, it's going to give Josh a hint, but I've been listening to some Peter Gundry.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know I've suggested him before, but yeah, like, you can't go wrong.
Yes. And with that, we'll move on to you.
Okay, so with watching, again, even though I don't celebrate Halloween, I love it. So, Trick or Treat. I don't know if I watched it last time talking about it, but of course, like Trick or Treat and The Void. I think The Void is one of the best Lovecraftian, non-Lovecraft movies.
Yeah.
Just phenomenal. I always say it's funny because I ran into that movie online, watched it, immediately went to their website, like their Facebook page, and was like, "I love this movie. It's great. It's phenomenal." And then, like, I think about a day later, it's like, "Yeah, we're finally releasing it." I'm like, uh-oh. So it's like, they know my secrets. But So yeah, just a bunch of different Halloween things. Over the Garden Wall, I've made it a tradition around this time to watch it. It's a great little series. I really wish someone would make a supercut so I could just watch it as one movie. Um, and oddly enough, I watched the sequel to Borat.
Oh, really?
My goodness gracious, that's a funny movie. Like, just I don't know, like Sacha Baron Cohen, and then I cannot think of the female's name. I learned her name and I forgot it again. The one that plays his daughter, just amazing. She's an amazing actress. But yeah, so that was a really good movie. So, like, yeah, because I haven't really picked up anything to watch as a series so far. I think I've been focusing on a lot of writing, especially with the D&D game.
Yeah.
And so just, I think, more writing, so not really too much of watching of anything like shows, but more just like movies, just again for the Halloween time period.
Is there going to be something special for Sunday?
Hopefully, yeah. Hopefully.
Yes.
We'll see. And then, so playing, obviously Baldur's Gate. You know, it's very funny we don't say Dungeons and Dragons, but yes, I mean we're obviously playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Well,
I think it's just
that's sort of a given.
Well, kind of. I mean, because we could talk about it, and then it's like, when's the last time you played? Back in 1998. So it's fun to still say that we're playing.
Hopefully, soon we'll be getting back to for your game at least, every Sunday.
Yeah. I think that was fun. Now I would say that it gives me more time to just do writing, or just like, I don't know, decompress with how sometimes my schedule goes. But still, if I had the ability to be sitting at a table, then I will. I think that's much better to be DMing. Let's see. Then of course I'm still playing Guardian Tales. Got my buddy into it, so that's wonderful.
You do it in the streets. You do it
It's
at
a really fun game. It's really gorgeous right now. They have the Halloween
The
style.
rest is bullshit.
Yeah.
You know
So
it.
it's all lanterns and really gorgeous, really interesting music. Listening to, I've been some Peter Gunn 3, the crypto, can't think of what we call it, the cryocast, maybe. They do like a lot of like atmospheric ambience music, some horror and so forth, but listen to a lot of them still. My playlist is all over the place, so I can't say this is the one band. So if you can name them, then there's a good chance I listen to them. So some Incubus, some Killswitch. I'm going back to some of the ones I haven't heard in a while.
Is there a reason for this? Just because you haven't heard them?
Yeah, just haven't heard them. I know a bit. Like, we'll play music at work, so I was just like, well, let's find these guys. And then there's one song I'm gonna introduce. I think some of the party has listened to it, but it's one song that I love. It was the one song that got me into playing music for D&D. I think it's Ubi Cartus, if I'm right. But it's done this beautiful, like, Irish. I think the lady's name is Connie. It's like this beautiful, like, Irish folk Celtic style. Gorgeous, hauntingly gorgeous. So I'll play that. Those like, I've been listening to like Misty Mountain Cold as well. I think that's really important for D&D. Sometimes to actually like play. So like before you even starting the game, play the music that you want to set the mood for.
Yeah.
And then that kind of helps put everyone like into the mindset before they even realize they're in that mindset. I think good. So
I should play something for Despair for Saturday before.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Bring them to the edge of despair. No. It's very funny because
Well, you said it. You said it. Let's go.
Josh was asking me about like what do you? He's like, what is was it on a scale of 1 through 10? How bad is this encounter? And I just kind of like shrugged sheepishly.
Bad as in like menacing, not bad as in like a bad in general.
Yeah, no, not like poor, but as in just like, SpaghettiOs. Is that still relevant? We'll bring it back. But I was like, I told Josh, I was like, what happens if you told me that and I legitimately start crying? It's like, how bad does it just start weeping for him? Like, he's like, yeah, I'm just gonna go home and start making a new character right there. Like, that'd be amazing. Like, if I thought about it, like, if it just like, I kind of like, man, I wish I did it. It just came to me just to start like just sobbing for him. Oh man,
bro, you would have messed him up big time. Let's be honest.
Wouldn't have been funny. I guess with just like reading as well, I haven't been I really picked up any reading. That's because of my listening to. So Horror Babble. I know while we're building the table, I played a few like Lovecraft. I think it was like Dunwich Horror, and another one. I can't think of the other one that I played.
See, while I enjoyed it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that also had a part in Noah. I wouldn't say slacking, but like sort of falling asleep, or messing up some with the legs. Is because see, I know Noah enough to where I know he can only do one thing. And he was listening to the book, and I was also in school with Noah.
Yeah.
And Noah would constantly be reading a book, and the teacher would be like, "Noah, what's the answer to this?" And he'd like put the book down and be like, "What?" He can't do two things at once. I would say, like, in that aspect, like two things that require like constant listening or just like thinking, problem solving, which is also why I think he wasn't feeling good, but I think he also started to draw on the legs while listening,
drawing inscriptions. There's gonna be inscriptions marked on the legs. I'm gonna do it.
We'll erase the chaos symbol.
Maybe, who knows? I'll flip the table over and then just get my wood burner and just inscribe long stories onto the bottom of the table.
I would actually love that if we could inscribe things for like where the players sit, or like around the edge.
Just be ancient, hidden runes.
Yeah, not anything like, maybe it doesn't even say anything, but just cool like characters and stuff. Or maybe even go as far as to like translate in like all these different languages, like player or like Dungeons and Dragons, and just write it over and over in different languages all over the table.
That'd be fun. Hardcore, just basically translate the entire player's handbook into a different language and just write on each plank until it's the whole book.
Oh no.
Man, that kind of dedication, something to behold. But yeah, I don't know if I've said it before, but I appreciate everyone who's working on that table. I know Trey was just like, well, how long do you want to work on it? And I'm like, well, it's his workspace, and so I don't care. And I was like, well, think about it. We have places like Wormwood or so forth. Their custom tables with a full shop making stuff takes a while. So I personally don't mind how long it takes, because hopefully it'll be a really cool thing for all of us to share,
Yeah.
We've all like put in to build this cool table, and so it's not just like my table, it's my players and your players and yourself. It's just this awesome thing. a monolith kind of thing, a landmark for what that stands
maybe,
for.
Maybe pulling that like together on each of the legs of the table. Maybe each of us would burn something into the legs. Because it's gonna have 8 legs. So like, because like Noah's already claimed one leg at least. Let him continue on that leg, write whatever he wants. Then like I get a leg and I'll wood burn stuff on it. You get one, Mary gets one, everyone. I think that would be cool because everyone would like leave their mark on it, you know?
Yeah.
I've certainly left my mark on it with my horrendous nail.
Oh yeah.
Just nailing in nails. It was, oh my god.
Again, but I feel like building this. I would like to build more tables. I think. Start with DM screens. Start building tables. A nail gun will become my best friend. That is.
Yes.
That is probably bottom line. A nail gun. Absolutely. But again, I think the beauty of the table is the fact of how cheap it was because of just like it being reclaimed wood and so forth.
Yeah, how much did you end up spending on it in total, you think?
Probably $40, maybe a little bit more. 45.
It's a bigger table than like buying the wood for a table. It's a bigger table than what you would get with buying brand new wood and stuff.
Yeah, let that sink in. $40, $45 for an 8x8 table. You know what I mean? Like,
and mind everyone, this is like with like filling in the gaps and making it, you know, custom. Like there's gonna be like bookshelves, there's little cubbies for the players and stuff like that. Yeah. It will all be shown, but it is nice. It also it's weird because when people would think about like a new table, maybe they wouldn't think like reclaimed wood. But I think when you're playing like an RPG, like D&D, based in like medieval times, where the tables wouldn't be as nice, or not. What's the best way to put this?
There is like this. There is a rustic folk look to the table.
Yes.
Like the table in a tavern is not going to be the table of a duke or duchess.
Yes, it's not going to be like your parents bought a table and it's like heirloom quality and it's like all smooth to the touch and it has all that. It's going to be like a tavern table. It's going to have its personality ingrained into it, kind of thing.
Yeah, because there are some times where you'll see taverns and they're literally a barrel and then they just put a few planks of wood on top of the barrel and that's the table. I mean,
yes.
Fair though. If I could find barrels, wooden barrels, and build tables, then yeah, you know I would do it.
Or make the barrels the chairs.
Yes. Oh my God, that'd be great. I do have a blowtorch, so it's kind of like, do I want to toast it just a little bit? Nah, but maybe. But
the table?
But, yeah.
Yes.
Like a little bit of burning and then just oil it and it just has that wood grain pop.
Yeah, I like that.
But yeah, now was there any chatter in the chat?
There was just me bantering with Josh in the chat.
Right now it is 12, so we don't have any questions to be answered.
I don't believe so.
Do you have any closing things you want to say?
Just the outro in general.
Okay.
Well, then I will go ahead and say the outro. If you like the live stream, please hit the follow button. We live stream every Tuesday from 10:30 p.m. to 12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then every other Friday with a guest, same time. We're not having that this Friday because we had one last Friday. And if you would like to see anything on the table, stay tuned for next week's episode of the PiP, or go to Facebook because it could be posted earlier there. If you want to watch a past episode of the PiP, go to the YouTube channel, Oni Central, or the PiP Podcast. They're all archived there. Or even the Facebook page. And that's about it. Is there anything you want to say?
No, I want everyone to have a great night, and that's about it.
Alrighty then. Then that is where we will end.